Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another look at some new albums that have just been reissued on vinyl. And this is Gillan, and I'm going to be talking about Magic and also Future Shock. So I'm going to talk about the albums, what I think the pressings are like. And this is kind of a sister or brother a review to the Gillan box set, CD box set I did recently. I have covered Magic in my review show, but I felt that now that Future Shock has arrived, it would be a good idea just to kind of go into a bit more depth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you inside both of these packages, compare them to my original albums, product-wise, colours, sharpness of images, etc. And then I'll talk about the pressings and what they're like. So here we go. So this is a quick look at the Gillan vinyl reissues of Future Shock and Magic. As it says on the hype sticker here, because I've not opened them at the time of doing this section of the video, but by the time I get to the other side of this, I'll have played them. So the classic solo album from Deep Purple's iconic singer, including No Laughing in Heaven, New Orleans, plus bonus tracks appearing here for the first time on vinyl, pressed on blue and pink vinyl itself. So tracks side 3 and 4 are new, and it's the same with Magic. So it's basically the same thing, but with extra rare tracks. So they're both double albums, as you can see there. And I'm going to compare the colours with the new ones to my original copies, because I know some of you will be interested in that. So let's have a look. So I'm going to take the outer layer off, and we'll have a look inside and see what they've done. So it was originally a gatefold sleeve, as you can see here. So this is my original, which I'll put on top and see if there's any difference in what you can see. There's a slight difference in that the new one down here, if you can see that, is slightly blurred, because obviously it's probably a facsimile of the original version, but my original version is quite old and it's been played a lot, so I don't think that matters, to be honest. So the records themselves, I've got singles from the time, which I think is a lovely touch, and I think they're both red vinyl. The original was obviously black. On the sides 1 and 2, which is the original album, you've just got the credits on the back, including the credits for the extra tracks as well, both on red vinyl. So excellent in respect to the artwork, and I'll tell you what I think of the pressings in the next section, but superb. Excellent job. Right, Future Shock. This is more luxurious in a way, because this was luxurious in the first instance. This is my original one. You can see there's slightly brighter colours in the new one, but I don't think that's a problem at all. And the key thing with the original was it came with this booklet. So have they managed to replicate that, which had lots of cuttings and superb picture of the band in the middle. So let's have a look inside and see what they've done. So in the original, the booklet was actually part of the gatefold. So I think in this they may have done that slightly differently. So as you open up the gatefold, they have. It's different in that we have the singles from the album and the European tour program on the gatefold sleeve. On the left-hand side is the original album, which this time it's not on black vinyl, it is on blue vinyl. And on the opposite, sides 3 and 4, we have all the lyrics, which we got anyway with the album originally, and this time it's on pink vinyl. So where's the booklet? The booklet is positioned in the side where sides 3 and 4 are, and here we go. And the reproduction is great, exactly as before. So excellent stuff, and all the lyrics are there as well, so it's brilliant. I just have to point out one thing though, which I think is a bit of a disappointment. This is the center section of the new one, and you can see here there's the older one. Now my camera is actually compensating on the new one because it's a lot darker than it actually appears here. So my camera is trying to lighten it up, but it's actually quite a dark picture, but you can actually see that the original, if I bring my microphone further away, is different. So it may appear to you here that the new one is actually an improvement, but it's actually very dark compared with the original photograph from the centre. So I'm quite surprised that nobody noticed that the colouring and the print of that is not the same as the original, when all the other pictures are exactly the same. You know, the picture of Gillan, you can see the difference. It's exact, but it's just that centre one which does not look the same at all. But this, without my lights on it, it is quite dark to see in the detail within Gillan's hair, for instance. And you can probably tell from there, actually, that you can see the strands of Gillan's hair on the original, but on the new one, it's just a massive black. So that would be my only criticism of the overall physical package. Right, so I'll give you now a rundown of what I think of the actual pressings themselves. So that's a look at Future Shock and Magic, new vinyl, double vinyl reissues from the Demon Music Group. So yeah, I pointed out some slight differences in the actual artistic element of these reissues. Magic is exactly the same as my original one. In fact, my original one, to be honest with you, 1982, feels quite flimsy. It's battle worn, as I think I'd mentioned before when I did the separate review in the review show, and I think this is fantastic. How does it compare? Now, I got this wrong when I did the CD review, saying that they're basically the same as the Enzel reissues from a few years before, so which are all out of print, and if you had got those, you didn't need to look at this. I made a mistake there because this had been remastered, as a couple of you mentioned, by Phil Kinraid, and the sound of them is improved. And yes, for Gillan fans isn't there, maybe, you know, I do feel that was a bit of an oversight because to me, it was an integral part of Glory Road. But overall, based on the amount of people that watched that video and how well it sold out almost straight away. I think it's back in stock now. It's the perfect way of collecting all of these albums by one of the best Deep Purple offshoots, period, the Gillan Band. I think Magic, I'm going to go there first. This feels robust, and what it doesn't say anywhere, God, I hope I'm not making another mistake that it's been tweaked or anything, but it's probably the way it's cut. But there is definitely more bass mid-range in this pressing than there is in my original. I'm playing it on my Technics deck. I play it on different volumes, and it's not my imagination. At the time of doing this review, you can probably sound by my voice, I'm coming out of a cold, but my sinuses are clearing, and it sounds better. And I felt, yes, it's on red vinyl. I don't know whether, you know, as the target demographic of this, whether we really need a coloured vinyl version, but to have it as all those extra tracks, because one thing about Gillan is that he knew how to give value for money. Every time there was a single released, there'd be 1, 2, sometimes even more B-sides that weren't on the original album. And I think one of the few bands that probably did that at the time. But I'm very happy to have this in my collection. It was coming out of the tail end of where Gillan's kind of star was beginning to falter, perhaps. And Townes, Gillan, that perfect writing partnership that I always look for on Gillan albums, was beginning to become more sparse as the other members of the band took over. But Bluesy Bluesy with Janet Gears on guitar solo is fantastic. Long Gone, Driving Me Wild, and Demon Driver. But the extra tracks, of course, has got Bernie Marsden on guitar on South Africa, and we also get the 12-inch extra. The band had gone by then, but this is the best place for those tracks to be put. And of course, they were also on the previous Magic reissue as well. So 10 out of 10 for that. Really, really impressed. Future Shock. The most luxurious, the most confidence that Virgin Records must have thought, Do you know what, Mr. Gillan? Every one of your albums is just heading to the top of the charts. We're going to give you a gatefold sleeve and a full colour booklet as well for this one, mate. And it worked again. A huge seller. This is now a double album, as you saw when I did that part. My only thing that I pointed out there, cosmetically, to do with the actual production of the album itself, is that center gatefold full band photograph where the colors are a lot darker than the original. I know my camera compensates, so it's hard for you to see that, but those of you who bought this will know that. It kind of loses a point for me, because somebody somewhere, when this thing comes off the production line, surely must have looked and thought, that doesn't look right to me. We need to redo that one plate. But they didn't. Maybe it's because how many people of my vintage are hanging around the back of a pressing plant with an original copy to say, you need to cross-check on this. But that's the only thing, really, that I need to point out. Pressing-wise, it sounds great. And again, with the other one, I would say that this I played comparing No Laughing in Heaven. The bass, again, is more robust, and it just sounds better. Of course, again, these extra tracks are an essential part of the Gillan story. Take a Hold of Yourself, which is the B-side of what track was that? Gosh, I can't remember now. I will know that. Where is it? New Orleans. Because I've got all the Gillan singles. And I remember Take Hold of Yourself, which is a bit of a naughty lyric, really. I love that song. Lucille, Bad News, One for the Road, The Maelstrom, which is the B-side of No Laughing in Heaven, which was a great single, which came with all the, the booklet, etc. Your Sister's on My List. Another great outtake from one of the Japanese issues and Trouble. Superb stuff. But of course, the original album, Future Shock, Night Ride Out of Phoenix, great song, Lusitania Express, No Laughing in Heaven, Sacred Blur, New Orleans. I mean, that was the production on that. I remember even some of my friends who were really into the sophisticated, melodic, airbrushed metal coming out of America at the time, heard that and thought, this is just rock and roll. It was raw, and some people will say this is one of the reasons why the Gillan band didn't make it in the States, because it's so garagey, like in some ways, but it's just they're in the room. I've used this phrase recently that a lot of rock music was drenched in reverb, but the Gillan band were dry, so that you sounded like you were in the rehearsal room with them. And there is a rehearsal room aspect to some of Gillan's music. It was becoming more polished by him. By Magic, he really was polished, different producer, which is why I prefer Mr. Universe and Glory Road as the pinnacle of the Gillan band. But these two are also part of it. Double Trouble is also good. I know, Born to Die is on there, etc. But I feel that this is the kind of where we're leveling off, perhaps. The cover's great, the artwork, and of course, side 2, Bite the Bullet, is a great Gillan Towns track. What a riff. It's just manic, isn't it? But then you've got If I Sing Softly to You, which is a bit like Five Moons from the Ian Gillan band. It's a different aspect to Ian Gillan's voice. And it was always wonderful to hear different style of his singing, like Placing Line or Our Lady, you know what I mean? Or Fighting Man, which is probably the best thing he ever did. Don't Want the Truth, and For Your Dreams, another Gillan Towns track. But yes, my original is a bit wounded. It's really weird, actually, because I pulled this out of the rack today, and I took it out, and there was a hair on the record, and it was about that long, and it was brown. So it was honestly one of mine from way back. Those of you who watch the channel have seen I posted a picture from around this period, so it must have been one of those. But I recommend both of those. But the only thing I picked up on was the there was a centre photograph of the band from the booklet, but otherwise it's great to have this on vinyl. If you're only into CD, then this box set, which I presented before, is the way to go. But if you are trying to replace your vinyl from all those years ago, then these are recommended. So that's Future Shock and Magic, as well as my originals have just fallen on the floor. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here, thank you for all of your support, because it really does make a difference and helps me to continue to do Now Spinning Magazine on both the YouTube channel, the website, and all the other things that I do. It really does help me. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Take care, all of you. Keep spinning those discs, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.